Welcome to My ADHD Relationship, your evidence-based guide to navigating love, friendship, and family life through the lens of ADHD.
If that quote hits home, just take a deep breath with me. That feeling, that constant sense of overwhelm, of always falling short, it is so real and it is absolutely exhausting. But here's what we're going to unpack today. That feeling isn't a reflection of you as a mom. It's not about how much you love your kids. It's actually a clue, a sign that there's something else going on under the hood.
So this is the big question, right? Is this whole struggle a personal feeling, or is your brain just wired differently? We're going to explore the actual neurobiology behind why motherhood can feel like such an uphill battle when you have ADHD. Because let me tell you, understanding your brain isn't just a nice idea, it's the key to changing everything.
Look, the first thing we need to get straight is this. It is not about you not trying hard enough. The real issue here is a fundamental mismatch. It's a collision course, really, between the relentless, nonstop demands of modern parenting and the unique wiring of the ADHD brain.
So let's talk about executive functions. Sounds kind of corporate, doesn't it? But think of it like this. It's the CEO of your brain. It's the management system in charge of planning, organizing, remembering stuff, and just getting started on things. For a mom with ADHD, this internal CEO isn't just busy, it's chronically overloaded, which can feel like a total system crash.
Okay, this right here is where it all becomes so clear. This is what makes that invisible struggle visible. Take a look at initiation. The demand is simple, right? Just start the chores. But what happens in the ADHD brain? Total paralysis, that feeling of being stuck. Or how about time blindness versus trying to get to school appointments on time? The result is chronic lateness and that constant frantic feeling of being in crisis mode. This shows exactly how that huge mental load of motherhood can feel completely insurmountable.
And then there's the sensory side of things. Wow, parenting is a total sensory crucible, isn't it? The nonstop noise, the constant touching, the visual chaos of toys everywhere. It's a lot for any brain. But for an ADHD brain, which can process sensory input so differently, it pushes you right past your limits until you feel completely touched out, like a live wire. So what happens when you get pushed past that sensory limit? Well, that's often when we see emotional dysregulation kick in. And I really want to land this point. That short fuse you might feel, that sudden flash of frustration, it is not a character flaw. It's a neurobiological response. The ADHD brain simply has a harder time putting the brakes on emotions. This isn't a choice you're making. It's a neurobiological reality. And here's the wild thing, the real paradox of ADHD attention. 1 minute, you're so deep in hyperfocus, say, organizing a closet, that you completely blow past the reminder for that doctor's appointment. The next, the chaos is so overwhelming that you can't even sit down to do a simple task like paying a bill. It's both extremes, and both of them just feed that awful cycle of guilt. So you've got this executive function overload, the sensory overwhelm, the emotional dysregulation. It all builds up. And for so many women, this intense pressure cooker of motherhood actually becomes a turning point. It's the moment that finally leads to a diagnosis and to a whole new kind of clarity. And it often happens in one of two ways. First, after you have a baby. Those huge hormonal shifts, especially the drop in estrogen, they can throw your dopamine system for a loop, and suddenly ADHD symptoms that were maybe manageable before feel totally out of control. Or, and this one is so common, your own child gets diagnosed. You're learning about their brain, reading the checklists for them, and suddenly you're seeing your entire life reflected back at you, and everything just clicks. And that is the moment we're talking about here, that check, check, check moment of self-discovery. You start to reframe your whole life story. You weren't lazy, you weren't flaky or not trying hard enough. You were dealing with real neurological symptoms. The relief from that, it's just incredible. It can change everything. Okay, so understanding the why is huge, but it's only the first step. Now let's get into the how. We're going to shift gears now and talk about practical, hopeful strategies that are built for the ADHD brain, not against it. This is about moving from just surviving to actually thriving. All right, so the single most powerful shift you can make is to stop asking your brain to do things it's just not built for. Instead, you build what we call an external brain. You offload the work, you put it out into the world.
A visual schedule on the fridge that everyone can see, a simple checklist for the crazy morning routine, that one bowl by the door, a landing zone where your keys and wallet always go. This isn't weakness. It's smart. It's a brilliant accommodation that saves your precious mental energy for the stuff that really matters.
Okay, here's a strategy that sounds kind of weird, but it is an absolute game changer. It's called body doubling. Have you ever noticed how it's suddenly way easier to fold that mountain of laundry if your partner or friend is just sitting in the same room, even if they're on their phone? That's it. That's body doubling. Just having someone else there provides this little hit of accountability and novelty that the ADHD brain just loves. It's often just enough to get you over that hump of paralysis for those really boring tasks.
And that same idea of working with your brain applies to your environment too. Think of these accommodations as preventative medicine. Instead of waiting until you're totally overloaded and just trying to power through it, you change your environment before you hit that wall. So when the noise level starts to get to you, the accommodation isn't to grit your teeth. It's to proactively put on noise-canceling headphones. It's about designing a home that actually supports your nervous system.
Now, all of these tools and strategies are fantastic, but they won't stick if they're not built on one crucial foundation. And that master skill is self-compassion. It is the only real antidote to that toxic cycle of shame and guilt that so many of us moms with ADHD live in. When you can stop beating yourself up, you free up so much mental energy to actually use these new tools.
But what does self-compassion actually look like? It's three things, really. First, self-kindness. That means treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give to a friend who's struggling. Second, common humanity. This is huge. It's realizing you're not the only one. You're not broken. And third, mindfulness, which just means noticing your feelings, that guilt, that frustration, without getting swept away by them. And let me tell you, this isn't some fluffy, feel-good idea. The science is clear. Practicing this stuff literally reduces stress and depression.
So I want to leave you with one final question to sit with. Our brains, especially ADHD brains, can get so stuck on perfectionism, right? It's all or nothing. But what if we just let that go? What if good enough is the new perfect? Think about that. What if embracing good enough is the most powerful, the most radical, and honestly, the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for your family?
Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that you're notified when a new video is released. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you soon.